Hi guys, this is Teacher Harry and welcome back to my English lessons where I try to help you to get a much better understanding of the English language so that you can have good conversations. What am I going to talk to you about today? Well, we're going to look at expressions with I think or other ways to say I think. So I've got about 10 or 11 of these. I'll go down through them as I always do. I'll give them to you and then I'll give you a quick explanation, or not so quick, of each of them. And if you have any problems with them later on, you still don't understand, come back to me, send a comment, and I'll try to give you some more explanations. Okay, so let me start. So the first one, in my opinion, well, it's very obvious when we want to tell somebody what we think, or we want to give a detailed explanation of something, we might just say, well, in my opinion. So you might want to stress it so you can change the intonation if you want to be really strong. Well, in my opinion, and you emphasize the my, or if you just want to make a point or clarify something, in my opinion, I think we should do this. Okay, so you want to make it very, very clear that this is your view. As far as I'm concerned, so a little bit more formal, as far as I'm concerned. So this could be any type of discussion you're having in a work environment, with your family, with friends, whatever it might be. As far as I'm concerned means this is what you believe. Yeah. So no matter what has happened, no matter what other people have said, this is the view that you have and you're going to stick to it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm still going to turn up tomorrow at the time that I usually do. And if they tell me different, well, then that's the way it should be. So there might be a dispute or a disagreement about working schedules or working times, but nobody has clarified it. So you say to your friends, well, as far as I'm concerned, until I get it in writing or somebody notifies me, well, then I'm still going to turn up at the exact same time, and I expect that they will honor their commitment. So as far as I'm concerned. If we want to be very strong, because when we say I think sort of suggests a little bit of uncertainty. So if we say I believe that, then it's a really, really strong statement. I believe that. So it's something that I fundamentally believe in. And when I'm trying to help people to prepare for job interviews, and I ask them to give me some indication of what their strengths or weaknesses or some point of view, often they tell me, oh, I think that. And I always try to get them to say, no, don't say I think, say I believe. Have conviction. Conviction means be strong in your view, be strong in your opinion, what you believe. I believe that my strengths are the following, blah, 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 blah. I believe that my weaknesses are whatever they might be, one or two or something small. But when you use I believe, then there's a little bit more conviction. And you can, again, as we did in the first example, you can stress the word believe. I believe, yeah? I believe. I, not to anybody else, it's what I believe is important. I believe that what the government should do is this. I believe that everybody has the right, as they do, to self-respect. I believe that everybody's opinion should be respected. So I believe, no matter what other people think, I believe. And next one is a little bit uncertain. It seems to me, or it appears to me. So when we use words like seems or appear, then it might not be accurate, it might not be true, but to you, that's how it appears, or to you, that's how it seems. Okay, so it seems, and get that S, and when you use it, stress the S. It seems to me, or it appears to me. So this is your opinion, this is your view, you've looked at it from every angle, you've formed an opinion. So you might be right, you might be wrong. Of course, you're entitled to be right or wrong, you're entitled to give your opinion. So it seems to me the best way to deal with this is as follows. It appears to me, or it would appear to me, that the government have made the wrong decision, or your son or daughter has made a wrong decision. So it appears to me that they're only doing that because somebody else did it. It seems to me that it would be better if they did it another way. So you're voicing your opinion. You're not so strong about it, okay? Because when we use it seems or it appears, it turns it into a little softer. It's a little less direct. Yeah, because if you want to be direct, I believe, yeah, really strong. It seems or it appears is taking some of that strength out of it, and it's softening your approach. It appears to me, it seems to me. Okay, next, I feel that. And when we use this, I feel that, or I have a feeling that, then this is expressing a real personal opinion. It's something that you feel personally inside. Yeah, I feel. Yeah, so not everybody will feel the same way, but I feel. Yeah, I feel it's important for me to voice my opinion. I feel important for me to tell people when I believe they are wrong. Yeah, that's my view. It might not be everybody's view, but it's the way that I feel. So I feel, or I have the feeling that. Okay, so these are your thoughts, and it's a little bit more emotional. You're expressing your emotions a little bit stronger when you use that word feel, because feeling is about emotions. I feel that you don't listen to me. I feel that you don't appreciate me. I have the feeling that you don't appreciate my point of view. So here you're just emphasizing your emotional side, your personal views inside of you. Okay, next is I assume that. Okay, then when we assume something, it's we believe, or the speaker, whoever is using it, to believe that there's perhaps a certain amount of guarantee that whatever is happening is correct, okay? So when you say, I assume that, you might not be 100% certain, you might not be 100% absolutely certain, but there's a belief that something is going to happen, or something is correct. So I assume that they are going to give us a holiday on Monday because we worked the previous bank holiday. So you're making an assumption. It hasn't been confirmed to you, but this is what they did the previous year, or this is the action that they've taken previously. So it's a good reason to believe that this is what they'll do this time. So a few weeks ago, you had to work on a bank holiday Monday, and you weren't given any extra holidays, but you believe that this Monday, because the work has been done, that they will announce sometime that you have the day as a holiday in lieu or in place of the day that you worked. So I assume that, okay? Or if we're talking about the current pandemic problem, I assume that when everybody is vaccinated, or as many people as possible are vaccinated, then the governments will lift certain restrictions and will allow people to travel or move around more freely. It hasn't been guaranteed, and nobody has stated it categorically, but you can assume that based on certain things that have happened, your beliefs, your views, your thoughts, your intellect, the way you have studied it. So I assume that. Next, from my point of view. Okay, so again, here we're making it very personal. From my point of view, again, it may not be your point of view or your colleague's point of view or your family, whoever it might be, but from my point of view, it is important. Yeah? So from my point of view, it is important that you respect what your parents want. If they want you home before midnight, then you should respect that. From my point of view, if they want you to study for a few hours after school and put away your mobile phone, then again, you should respect that. But it's from my point of view. Not everybody would share the same opinion or the same view. Next, a little more informal, if you ask me. And again, here, depending on how you put the stress or where you put the intonation, you can make it more aggressive or stronger, or just more even. Okay, so if you ask me, I think the world is crazy, if you ask me. So it's just, that's my opinion, but sure, who's going to care about what I say if you ask me? So you shrug the shoulders, and your body language would indicate that you don't really care whether people believe you or not. But if you ask me, and maybe people will not ask you. So, and this is usually when we use this expression, it's if you ask me, because there's a belief that they're not going to ask you, okay? But if you want to put more stress on it, if you ask me, I really think we've made a serious mistake here. What we should have done is this. So if you're talking about your favorite football team, as we like to talk about football, and they've just sold their best player, and you're not quite sure how they're going to replace him, or are they going to replace him at all? And they say, well, if you ask me, I think the owner of the club has made a serious mistake. Who's going to score all the goals? If they don't buy a player of a similar stature, what are we going to do? We're going to struggle next season. So if you ask me, that was a seriously bad mistake, a serious wrong move. Okay, so if you ask me, so is the owner of the club going to ask you? Of course not. Is he going to ring you up and say, oh, hi, Harry, what do you think about this? I'm going to sell the best player. No, he's not going to do that because he doesn't even know that I exist. But if you ask me, and if he did go to the trouble of asking me, I certainly would tell him that it's a big mistake. Next, a little bit more formal, I consider. I consider that to be rather insulting. I consider that to be inappropriate at this particular time. So a teacher might say to the children in the class, perhaps the older children, the 15 or 16 years of age, I consider that inappropriate language to use in the classroom. I consider that an inappropriate way to address one of your classmates. So you have to be respectful. So you're being a little bit more formal in the way they say it. I consider this to be the end of the matter. And this is a way if you want to cut, you've had an argument with your kids or you've had an argument with your colleagues, whoever it might be, and you want to draw a line, as we say, underneath it and move on. You say, okay, look, I consider this matter closed, meaning it's over. Okay, you've said your piece, I've said my piece, I've listened to you, you've listened to me, perhaps we can't reach an agreement, there's no compromise, so let's just consider the matter closed. I consider the matter closed. I'd like you to think and consider that the matter is closed. So end of, as we say, end of the issue. As far as I can see or as far as I can tell. Now these are both very, very similar. So as far as I can see or as far as I can tell. So this is us expressing our opinion with perhaps some limited information. When we use the expression as far as I can see, now as far as I can see at the moment is the end of the room, or if I go outside, as far as I can see is the end of the street. Okay, so, and as far as I can tell, it means based on the information we have, which as I said may not be the full story, but based on that information, this is my opinion. So as far as I can see, I think they're both in the wrong. He said this, she said that, they should have listened to each other. As far as I can tell, they are always arguing. So, it's not a surprise to me that they've decided to split up because every time I talk to them or every time I see them, one is complaining about the other. So as far as I can tell, this is a natural way for them to react. One is as bad as the other. So as far as I can see or as far as I can tell based on some limited information that you might have. So it's a way of you expressing your opinion. As far as I can see, well, that's it. It's over. As far as I can tell, yeah, it's over. So we can use them both in the same way. To my mind or in my mind, okay? So to my mind, so this is how it works out when you think about it. To my mind or in my mind, this is how I would do it, yeah? To my mind, I don't think it's the right way to do it. I think you should perhaps write the letter, complete your CV or look at your CV again, and then put it in LinkedIn or wherever you wish to place it and see do people take an interest, okay? So in my mind, to my mind, this is the best way that you can approach it. Or in my mind or to my mind, what you should do is spend a little bit of time every day looking through the internet, see what positions are vacant, what positions come up, and then actively go after them. Send in your CV directly to that company. Send it to the HR department, or try and find somebody you know who might work in that company, because everybody knows somebody, and see is there an opportunity for you to get ahead of the pack or get up there that you could be recommended for the position. So in my mind or to my mind, this is what you should do. So this is a way of us telling somebody, this is my opinion, this is what I would do. And again, it's personal to you. And then the last one is on my list, personally speaking. So again, here where we are stressing, personally speaking. Yeah. So I don't know what other people think, and perhaps you don't care what other people think, but personally speaking, usually we follow it. If it was me, personally speaking, if it was me, this is what I would do. Personally speaking, if it was me, then yeah, I'd finish your course and then I'd perhaps either get a job for a while and look to do your master's in 2 years' time, or perhaps you might get a job and then when you establish yourself in the company, they may suggest it and the company may even pay for it. So there's an opportunity there. So personally speaking, I'd give yourself a bit of time, complete this course, get your results, get yourself established, and then start thinking about masters and other things. If you start confusing yourself now and thinking about the next step before you've completed your thesis, before you've completed your third level education, you're just going to get yourself preoccupied and confused. So personally speaking, this is what I would do. Okay? And then the very last, because I added it at the beginning, is this quite quirky or unusual expression, your 2 cents worth. Okay, so when we use that, it's quite old-fashioned, because many years ago we would have said your 2p's worth, but now we're talking about euros mostly, so we talk about your 2 cents worth. And of course, 2 cents is not worth a lot of money. So when somebody says, do you want to add your 2 cents worth? Or you might say, I would like to add my 2 cents worth. It means I would like to give my opinion. It might not be worth much because 2 cents isn't a lot of money, but nevertheless, I would still like to give you my opinion. So the boss is sitting at the top of the table. He's talked about whatever campaign what's going on, or the results, or whatever your regular meeting is. And he said, okay, anybody else want to add their 2 cents worth? So really, probably he might be a little bit annoyed, or he's a little bit frustrated, or he just wants the meeting to end. So he really wants anybody else with an opinion. Now is the time to give it. So does anybody else want to give their 2 cents worth? Yeah? So you might, in the meeting before the end, say, well, excuse me, can I add my 2 cents worth? So you give your opinion. And again, you're not belittling your contribution. You're not belittling anybody else's, but we use that expression to generally mean, okay, it might not be the most important thing. It might not be an earth-shattering comment, but I would like to add my 2 cents worth. Okay, so it's our contribution to the thought process. It's our contribution to the argument. It's our contribution to the debate, our 2 cents worth. Okay, so let me go through those again with you. In my opinion, as far as I am concerned, I believe that, it seems to me, or it appears to me, I feel that, or I have the feeling that, I assume that. From my point of view, if you ask me, I consider, as far as I can see, or as far as I can tell, exactly the same. To my mind, in my mind, again, very, very similar. Personally speaking, and then finally, your or my 2 cents worth. Okay, so all different ways in which we can, or other ways to say, I think. So you can practice those. Some of them, as I said, are quite common. Some of them are formal, others are informal, but they're all ways in which you can express your opinions or beliefs. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, please remember to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to listen to my podcast is Speak Better English. So if you want to speak better English, or you want to learn better English with me, then subscribe to the YouTube channel, give my comments below, or listen to the podcast. And as always, if you want to contact me, well, then you can do so on www.englishlessonviaskype.com. Very happy to hear your comments, very happy to get some recommendation of something that you're having a problem with that I can include in future podcasts, in future videos on the YouTube channel. Okay, well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Join me again soon.